feel like a movie star?
No, I feel hot.
When are you guys leaving on your honeymoon? No.
Read the vows and make your promise to each other. Please. I, Samantha, take you, Jeffrey, to be my husband, to have and to hold, from this day forward, to love and to cherish, and forsaking all others, I give you my promise, until we're parted by death, as God is my witness. Do you so give your promise? As this couple has stood before you as their witnesses, and before God Almighty, and exchanged vows with one another, I now pronounce them husband and wife. You may kiss your bride.
Samantha is disabled by cerebral palsy. Her words are hard to understand, so she uses a computer to speak for her.
A lot of people think our marriage is different from others, but it is not much different. We find enjoyment in almost everything we do together. We are compatible in so many ways that you could say we are soulmates.
Okay, what do you want to drink?
Soon after their marriage, Samantha and Jay moved to a small apartment and established their routine. When they first met, Jay had a job working with the disabled, so he understood what the demands of Samantha's care would be. She has to be helped with her most basic needs, like eating and dressing.
Well, there's times when it's, we're running short on time, and it's a little frustrating. I'd be dishonest if I said anything else. I think it's fairly easy to imagine the negative aspects of it. I think we have an advantage in some ways because our relationship demands that closeness, and I think that's a positive thing.
Beyond helping with her basic needs, Jay must also give Samantha physical therapy. Her muscles need to be stretched and worked to keep her body from becoming deformed.
I am beyond being concerned about how well Samantha talks or how well she walks or any of those other basically irrelevant things. What's important is who she is and what's in her heart and what she is capable of doing.
I seriously doubted that I would have children with a man who loved me and who I would love, so it was quite a surprise to learn that I was an expectant mother. I had done enough research over the years to know that women who have cerebral palsy can bear children.
Is your baby moving pretty good? This is that jelly, okay?
Samantha's doctor was a specialist in high-risk pregnancies.
Okay, you want to look over at the screen here, Samantha?
Her own birth had been difficult. Samantha didn't breathe right away after she was born, and her brain was damaged by lack of oxygen. That was the cause of her cerebral palsy.
I never had doubts about being a mother. However, I was not finished with college yet, so I had some reservations about that part of it.
About a month after the event, it took them that
Samantha was working on a communications degree at a state university, and she was concerned about interrupting her education.
There were more than
But what troubled her most was the reaction of some of the other students to her pregnancy.
in the weeks after this.
When Sam was pregnant and she started showing, the amount of prejudice that we had to face just, really exploded. And the few times that I walked with her on campus, it was, really pronounced there too. People staring at us, like stopping in their tracks and staring. You could just see it on their face, like, why did this girl ever even have sex? Why did this girl allow herself to get pregnant?
People ask me about my anger, and I can only say it comes from people who think you are so different from them. I am always having to prove myself to everybody, and I get sick of it. I can't ever remember being thought of or treated as disabled in my family. It was not part of our vocabulary. I grew up with my sister Pam and our 4 cousins. I did everything they did. My mom made sure I got to go rafting, horseback riding, and everything else. When I started school, the law had just been passed which said that disabled children could attend school just like everybody else.
Samantha wasn't segregated into special schools, but educated alongside able-bodied children. She was taught that she belonged with everyone else, and that life had more possibilities than limits.
All right, it's got guns. Just have you relax now again. One more. Push. Push down.
After Samantha began her labor, her mother and sister came to the hospital to help her through the delivery.
Pretty soon.
There was concern that muscle spasms might cause her problems giving birth.
Everything went great. Mom's doing great, and baby looks fine. And baby had a little bit of hard time coming down, but we applied forceps and delivered baby, and everything looks good.
What about her? Just now, you're tired. So much.
The baby's here. Yep, 7 pounds, 6.5 ounces, 20 inches long. She got a full head of curly hair. It looks like curly hair, I think it's gonna be. And everything's fine.
My first thought when she finally came out was that this is the perfect little person who was inside of me all that time. It was like nothing I have ever felt before. Just pure joy and amazement.
After the baby came home, the demands on Jay to care for both her and Samantha began getting difficult to manage. The strain was taking its toll.
Dave really has his hands full now and does a good job, but he needs help. I feel that it would also help our marriage.
Despite her limitations, Samantha was learning ways she could care for her daughter.
When you can't be that much of a physical mother, it is important to be and to do as much as you possibly can with the baby. I can always nurture Teresa, but Right now the physical aspect is more difficult, but that will change when she is a little bigger.
I'm only gonna be about 45 minutes.
When Jay goes to work at night, friends and relatives help care for Samantha and the baby. But during the day, if Jay has to leave, there is no choice but for Samantha to stay alone with Teresa.
Sometimes when Jay needs to run errands, I really worry about how well I will be able to care for Teresa. It is hard enough to do things for myself, much less Teresa. I really need him to get home right away for one reason or another. Jay carries a beeper, so I just call that number.
I was blinded when I was a little kid. I was 4 years old. It was a violent crime. It was an assault. A guy actually poured sulfuric acid over my head. You know, it got in my eyes and that blinded me.
Since he was maimed and blinded in a criminal assault, 40 plastic surgeries have restored the shape of Joshua Mele's face and given him his one glass eye.
Enter your network password for Microsoft Networking.
With the help of new computer technology for the blind, Joshua can hold a full-time job, and at home he's part of the internet revolution.
The technology that's now available lets me do a lot of things independently that I would previously have had to ask for help with. Help that I wouldn't have been entirely comfortable asking for, and that maybe people wouldn't have always been entirely happy to give.
The internet edition of the San Francisco Chronicle News.
His computer translates written words into spoken language, so Joshua hears what is on the screen. He can read a newspaper, get mail, or even order things from the Yellow Pages.
As a disabled person, I am living in one of the most exciting revolutions that has ever happened. It's giving us a set of abilities and a set of options that have never before been available.
Take the cushion. You got a release to fold the back. Move the relax. And then you got one more release.
Come across, just pull, don't lift.
New products and technologies are making life easier and the world more accessible for the disabled. Trade shows like this one display the new possibilities.
When you hit that, it stops the lift. Like that.
Okay, now what's his name?
His name's Andrew.
Andrew?
Uh-huh.
Andrew, and how old is Andrew?
4.5.
4.5? And where do you think Andrew is?
Some people attending the show were parents looking for new ways to help their disabled
So he's
children.
pretty young as far as his understanding of life.
Andrew is severely brain damaged.
Now, Andrew, I have a button right underneath your left hand, and when you touch the button, we will move. And I'll show you
This small electric car is fitted with colorful buttons and controls. The idea is for the child to learn to associate pressing the buttons with the movement of the car.
Good work, Andrew. Is he smiling? Andrew! You're doing a great job. Now I've given you another button, Andrew.
In just a short time, Andrew had learned to control the car. His father could hardly believe what his son had just been able to do.
Did you know that he had that much inside of him?
No, you never know.
You never know.
Come on, Andrew.
That's great. Okay. I wonder what you're feeling right now.
True happiness. I can't talk.
That he has that inside of him?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because you don't see that. You know, at a CPR.
Well, it's what the doctors have said also, too. That's why, you just have to take one day at a time with him. Because he hemorrhaged in the brain, and so he's with God, and so whatever he can do. Oh, there he is.
I have a delivery for you.
Hey, big guy. I got him. Hey. Was that fun? Yeah.
There was a lot of panic and a lot of confusion going on in that delivery room. And the doctor said, we have a little problem here.
Throughout her pregnancy, Charlie's mother had no clue that anything was wrong.
There were many tears shed as we grieved, because we were all expecting this perfect child. And I saw that there were no arms there. Saw that there were no legs. And my heart just broke for him. So I reached out and I touched his back. And as soon as I touched him, his eyes came open. And he smiled at me.
Doctors could offer Cheryl Gentry no explanation for her son's deformity and little comfort for her family's misfortune.
I would go to bed at night and I would pray. When I wake up in the morning, just let something be growing. An arm, just let an arm be growing. And I would get up the next morning, and that's the first thing I would do, is I would look to see if by a miracle, by any kind of a miracle at all, that there would be a limb growing. And of course, there never was.
Charlie Gentry started to roll when most children begin to crawl. Now he's 6 years old.
Stays how it is. Horses, not a horse.
When he's at home, Charlie doesn't wear clothes because without arms or legs, his body can retain too much heat.
And this one jumps. And he jumps and he shoots like with the jumps like this. And he shoots and it hits this guy and then they go down like this, okay?
Perfect.
Am I doing great?
You are doing wonderful. You helped make those. Look, there's one stuck inside, look.
Charlie's parents are separated, and he lives with his mother Cheryl and two older sisters, Cassie and Brenda.
Cut it.
And don't cut it.
They all help care for him, but they're careful not to make him dependent by doing too much.
More. Other way. Did that?
I encourage Charlie to do everything that he can. Sometimes he comments, well, I wish I had arms, or I wish I had legs. But overall, he is very self-assured, very self-confident. I can do this. He wants to be involved in everything. He is a happy child. He always has been.
My skates are vibrating.
The Gentrys live in the mountains south of Salt Lake City. It's a small town, and everyone in the neighborhood knows Charlie and his family.
How are you guys today? Good. Come on.
At the elementary school he attends, Charlie is well known to children in all the classes.
That's two.
His mother has taken him to each individual classroom to help the kids understand more about Charlie and to answer their questions.
Right here.
Does he have to sleep in a crib when he goes to bed at night?
Answer that one, Charlie.
No.
What do you sleep in?
A bed.
How does Charlie get dressed?
Go get my clothes and put my leg in.
I found that taking Charlie into classrooms and introducing him to the kids in the school, they are not afraid of him anymore. They don't stare and gawk, and they find out that he is a person, that he's just another kid going to school. You want to get down now?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, this is how Charlie usually gets around. One of the very first things that Charlie learned to understand is watch your head. He thinks he's really strong sometimes.
Move it.
Now you better be careful.
One of Charlie's good friends is a third grader named Bo.
I met him when I was outside playing and I tripped over him. And I helped him to his classroom and we started playing with each other after that. And we just became best friends.
Oh, going. Let's go home, though. Whoa, forgot the cup. Sand. Hey, go get the cup of sand.
Charlie is the only physically disabled student in Miss Bentley's first grade class. But like all the other kids, he helps with chores, like passing out chalk to work math problems. Charlie himself is assisted by a full-time aide who is provided by the school.
Let's see. So you had 13. 10, 11, 12.
Charlie, come put it on vertical. Okay, come on up. Okay. Charlie, what have you got there? Read it.
9 equals 7 equals 2.
Right on, bud. David, what have you got?
Oh. Okay? Fine. Okay.
On weekends, Charlie goes to the family farm, which is just outside of town. His cousins are there, and he and his sisters like to play tag with him on the trampoline. Weekends are also when Charlie gets to spend time with his father, who lives there too.
I'm gonna make her go get some pop, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh?
Mm-hmm.
His dad loves Charlie very much, and Charlie loves his dad. There's a bond between the two of them, and I believe that that bond happened during those very first early months. Bill was the pillar. He was the strong one. He was the one who got us through. He was the accepting one.
Right, a little first.
Hey, got pop?
Where's he at? There he is.
Though the family went through difficult times after Charlie's birth, both his parents say that that had nothing to do with their separation. They remain friends and share family responsibilities. Bill remembers his own reaction to his son's birth.
It was scary. I thought he wasn't going to make it because he wasn't breathing when they took him out. And then they come back and told me he was fine. There was nothing wrong with him. He was fine then. But Cheryl was the one that was really, really upset. But it didn't bother me as much. It didn't bother me. It did, but I never showed no feelings, I guess. And it didn't seem to bother me. But I've been around a lot of that, a lot of being on the farm, you know, you're around a lot of funny things, you know, different things, you know, animals and stuff, you know, different. You never know what can happen to them, you know. And I think nature's just all the same thing, and human and animal, you know, something could happen. And so I accepted it. I accepted it then, and I always have.
He's got his thing on. No, I don't think he can get done.
Go.
That's enough, Dad.
Go. Push it in there. Push it in, Archie.
No.
Go, you're on your own. I don't think you can get up there.
You can help me. There you go, stupid cow.
You know, when he first started out, I didn't think he'd ever do what he done. Heck, he's just like any other little boy. He'll even chew with you. Charlie, you want to chew today?
What?
Want to have a chew with Grandpa? No. Yeah, I better get going.
These don't live very long. They just die if you pick them.
They don't?
I don't know why. Give them to Mom.
Okay. Dad.
Huh?
What would... Wait, like, you know...
What?
Would a bullet blow up the plane on the
Probably. No.
They would get wind.
They just go in the dirt and make little dirt.
When he was 5 years old, Paul Longmore was struck with polio. Now at 49, he's a historian and university professor who teaches the history and social problems of the disabled. A history filled with discrimination and persecution.
Under the Nazi regime, the government established what was called the T4 euthanasia program. It was set up in hospitals. It was carried out by doctors and other healthcare professionals. At least 100,000 people with various kinds of disabilities were put to death. The first gas chamber built in Nazi Germany was built in a hospital. The techniques that had been developed in those hospitals and some of the personnel were transferred to the death camps to carry out the larger program of genocide against Jews and other socially undesirable people. But the important historical point here is that the Holocaust began with people with disabilities. That was the first group targeted and the first group exterminated.
During the same era in America, the disabled weren't being exterminated, but were suffering another kind of oppression. Thousands were put away in institutions and kept there sometimes for decades. Some of these people now live among us. Most people in this inner-city Denver neighborhood have seen an old man in a wheelchair pushing his way up and down its busy and sometimes dangerous streets.
Water. Bob?
Okay, honey? You're okay?
Yeah. I guess he is.
He's always out on
I know he is. I know he is.
Right,
And I know. I mean, this.
I'm surprised he still got his shoe.
When the old man speaks, he's nearly impossible to understand, so no one knows much about him. Frank McComb lives alone in a small, threadbare apartment. surviving on government assistance and the help of an attendant from a local agency. Shortly after Frank was born 74 years ago, an illness caused brain damage. He is intellectually competent, but lacks muscle control and his movements are spastic. Frank has cerebral palsy. Frank says he wishes he could walk. Most of Frank's keepsakes are in a cardboard box in the closet. He keeps a picture there of his father, who's now dead. It was his father who committed him to an institution where he remained for 40 years.
When I first met Frank, he was about 8 years old in Arvada, Colorado, and we lived there.
Anna McComb was Frank's stepmother. She remembers Frank's rage when other children would ridicule him, and that his father had little understanding or tolerance for his son's outbursts.
His father thought he should be checked out and with the doctor and see what we could do. The doctor suggested that they put him in a home.
Frank's alienation and displays of anger were labeled as mental incompetence. And 3 days after Christmas in 1935, 13-year-old Frank McComb Jr. was committed to the Colorado Home for Mental Defectives, known as Ridge. Official reasons for his commitment were that he was irresponsible and needed to be watched.
He was walking good when we put him in Ridge, but they just kind of let him go. He just kind of acted like he didn't want to walk, and he got by with it. Well, pretty soon he couldn't walk.
Anna Hill was a social worker at Ridge and knew Frank well. She revisited a long-closed dormitory where he once lived.
Frank, to me, was not intellectually deficient, physically handicapped, educationally deprived, environmentally deprived, perhaps. The general attitude was that people like Frank needed to be basically put away. Frank really probably never understood why he had to be separated from his family.
Frank grew up in the company of people like these, who still remain at Ridge. Disabled people who, like himself, no one could or would care for. Frank had no education and learned that life was limited by the rules and routine of the institution. He showed us how punishment for breaking those rules could be harsh. In the decades following Frank's commitment, attitudes about institutions began to change. And after 40 years at Ridge, social workers there encouraged Frank to leave. His father opposed the move, but Frank left anyway, to live independently in a world that had always excluded him.
Got you a light. Palm Malls, those are strong ones. I'll do it for you. There you go. Smoking will stunt your growth. We always kind of look out after them. I think everybody does in the whole neighborhood, you know. Then once in a while we have a lot of traffic coming out of here, you know, because this is a car wash and this is the accident, and we just kind of look out so we don't get run over, you know. What time do I have? I got 2 o'clock. Where you gonna be? Yeah, he doesn't like to be helped. He just, does his own thing. If he needs help, he'll give us a holler. You take care, bud. See you tomorrow.
Even though Frank wanted to move to the community, it was a very difficult decision for him because I think there was that fear of the unknown and maybe fear that he couldn't make it.
When she was a social worker at Ridge, it was Anna Hill's job to help find Frank a place to live in the community. It's been years since she last saw him, and today she's come to visit.
Can you believe it? Do I look that different? Do I look that different? I do. Jeez, it's good to see you. I haven't seen you.
Frank panicked as he thought Anna might have come to take him back to the institution.
Oh, no, I wouldn't take you back to Ridge. I just came to visit. No, I wouldn't do that. Yeah, he thinks I'm going to take him back to Ridge. Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah, he thinks I was going to take him back to Ridge. I'm not a social worker anymore. I'll just think of me as a friend if you ever see me. Okay?
When Frank understood Anna hadn't come to take him, he relaxed and they began to talk.
You're on your own. And that's been important for you, hasn't it? Right. Your father felt that you should stay for good, but you told him, oh no. We were really kind of afraid too, because we didn't know for sure, how things were going to be out there, and we were thinking, well, maybe he might get hit by a car, maybe somebody would take advantage, but you had to make the decision. By yourself.
Saturday night at a big city trauma center. A young man has been shot through the neck and is near death.
1, 2, 3, over. No pulse? Okay, continue CPR. Can we get the leads on right away, please?
The bullet passed right through the cervical spine, right in this area.
Yeah, why don't we get some documents?
250,000 people in the United States have spinal cord injuries, and there are approximately 12,000 more each year. Increasing numbers come from gunshot wounds, but most happen in accidents. And while more and more people are surviving serious spinal injuries, money and resources for their rehabilitation are becoming increasingly scarce. For many victims, the life they will lead coping with disability will be a life of welfare and poverty.
All right, your sleepy time is over. Aren't you awake yet?
8 months ago, 25-year-old Josh Whitaker broke his neck in a motorcycle accident. Now he's a quadriplegic, paralyzed below his chest and with only limited use of his arms.
Before the accident, my life was really on track. I was working, going to school, paying my bills, getting everything done, maintaining my grades. And I was doing a good job.
Josh grew up in DeSoto, Texas, a small town outside Dallas. Josh loved the outdoors and was in college studying for a career in environmental protection. Everything had been going his way.
It totally changed my life. Every place I go, I remember the past. I remember what I used to do at certain places. And now all I can do is watch.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
On 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I didn't do the grip, sorry.
No,
1,
you didn't.
2, 3.
Almost. Little more, little more, little more, little more. There, you almost there.
When Josh was injured, he was uninsured and had to turn to his family for support. His alternative would have been an institution or a nursing home. His sister, Donna, who is 9 years older than Josh, has taken much of the responsibility for his care.
Put back up in a second.
I have to do this. I have to take care of Josh. He needs me. He needed me to babysit him when he was a little kid. And he needs me now.
Donna's van is often the only way Josh can get around, because in the town where they live, there's no public transportation for the disabled.
Be careful.
Donna works full-time and is the single mother of 3 young sons. Some mornings, Josh goes to a local diner, which is run by another sister, Karen.
Thank you.
I've been getting Josh to do this. So, this is his therapy when he comes here.
Josh has been losing weight since the accident, so Karen encourages him to eat more. But mostly Josh comes to socialize, and he does what he can to help out.
Hard part is keep your fingers off the part that people put in their mouth. But it's good therapy. I mean, it helps me use my hands a little bit better. I mean, sometimes when you're rolling silverware like this, some are better than others. But with practice, it gets easier. I have to put on the facade for people, because if I were to let out the anger inside of me all the time, nobody would want to be around me.
Good morning, there. You don't feel good? Huh? How'd you sleep?
Every morning, Donna empties Josh's bed bag and checks the color of his urine for signs of infection. He's been sweating heavily during the night.
What's the matter? Take a deep breath, pal.
I don't want to.
Well, you're in a bad mood, and this is enough. I'm gonna get your medicine, all right?
Don't take the towel, please.
It's
That's
wet.
irking the shit out of me.
Josh is often irritable and lashes out in anger. The emotional tension wears on everyone.
The other shirts could get all wet.
Well, then, Josh, the
And then I'm
simple
not gonna
thing
be able to
is
take
I can
this
take
one
the
off.
shirt off and we can start again.
Need to get out of this mood. It's only Wednesday, man. You got 2 more days to go if this week is over.
Then I don't have weeks anymore.
What? What?
I don't have weeks anymore.
Yes, you do.
Yeah. Don't.
It's not that bad. You gotta get rid of this attitude.
Please don't push me over when my hands are in the towel. Thank you. Down, didn't you?
Later in the day, Josh was feeling better, and his nephews were home from school.
I hate all these ladders. You go, get your coin.
I can't.
Why can't you? Wait till he goes all the way up to the top. I'm bringing him up to the top for you.
It breaks my heart to see Josh with the kids.
Because I know he loves children so much. And he thinks he'll never have children. He'll never have anyone to love him. He'll never have anybody who want to have children with him.
Christy Ake was my girlfriend that I met while I was going to school. And we had a lot of the same ideals, had a lot of the same values. We wanted a lot of the same things in life. Wanted to have a family.
Josh and Christy loved each other, but the emotional stress of what had happened and doubts about how they could manage in the future was more than their relationship could stand. Their lives had changed, fundamentally and forever.
The experience with Christy leaving was when I hit rock bottom. I wanted to show her that I could still be a man, that I could take care of her. I tried really hard. But I pushed myself. And I wanted to go to school. I wanted to go back to school to show her that this thing hadn't got me. I've still got control. I can still do it. And I wanted to keep the plan. I wanted to keep with the plan.
Josh, you about ready?
Yep.
Okay, ready?
Every night, Donna must help Josh get to the bathroom.
Gonna get through the door. What is it? 50-50 chance we'll make it through without getting stuck?
I got faith in you.
Like many homes, the bathroom door isn't wide enough for a wheelchair. So Donna must drag Josh to the toilet on an old office chair that's narrow enough to make it through. The spasms in his legs make things even more difficult.
Here we go.
To urinate, to empty your bowels. I mean, it's a process that people take for granted. Having to ask people to do this for you. And it is devastating. Perfect. No.
The next day, a nurse came to show Donna how to change Josh's catheter, which is a tube inserted through his abdomen that connects directly into his bladder. This is how Josh urinates. His catheter must be changed every month.
The first time that you do it's not going to be easy. And this is the last visit that they okayed, you know, since he didn't have insurance. But I'm willing as an individual to come and help y'all the next time because he can't learn it at one time.
How's that?
Very good. Okay, you just don't want that part to touch anything. You want it to go
Despite
into
many
the bladder,
precautions,
touch his shirt or-
Josh's catheter has caused serious infections. Once it became blocked, but with no sensation below his chest. Josh couldn't feel anything was wrong.
There you go. Perfect.
That time he was hospitalized in intensive care.
Okay, so you want to put about 7 or 8 cc's in there.
So,
Some days Josh sweats heavily for hours, but doctors can find no physical reason why it happens. They say the cause is anxiety.
There's been many days I wanted to die. There's many nights I've sat up, not sleeping, wondering how I can kill myself. Because my life is not complete. It's not complete anymore. My family is not complete anymore. My family life has changed. Every member of my family has changed because of this accident. There's been a lot of emotions and a lot of heartache. It's all because of me. I don't care what people say, it's all because of me. If people say, you know, I'm just so glad you're here, Josh. You know, we're so glad you're still with us. And I think that's a little selfish on their part because nobody's asking me. You know, I've got to live this.
In one fateful moment, a young man's destiny changed, and he cannot imagine his life ahead. His mind and spirit suffer along with his body. It is the incomprehensible loss of spinal cord injury. 6 months later, back in Denver, Frank McComb is still following his usual routine, pushing his way up and down the streets of the neighborhood. Frank's gotten a new wheelchair, but otherwise his life is the same. He's happy just to be living on his own. The marriage of Samantha and Jay is ended. They had personal differences, but the stress of making their life together work was overwhelming. Samantha has moved back to live with her mother and has a custody arrangement with Jay. Their daughter has just begun to walk. Charlie Gentry is growing up. He's in 2nd grade now, and he's happy and doing well in school. Charlie's still helping his dad out on the farm. And lately, he's learned to ride a skateboard. He's especially good on the turns. Josh Whitaker finished college with a degree in environmental engineering. He's learned to drive again and has become more optimistic about his future. His goal is to get a job and find a place where he can live independently. Disabled people want most to have independence and to control their own lives. But despite laws against discrimination, 70% are unemployed, and many are forced to live in poverty. The disabled have been segregated from society, shunned by a culture that judges human worth by physical perfection. They are uneasy reminders of human fragility.
You people are trespassing!
Disabled people are tired of being invisible and are declaring their right to an equal chance at life. They want to be understood and recognized for who they are, for their humanity, without pity.